Today I'm going to be taking a look at one of the greatest adult animated shows of all time, The Boondocks. Now I honestly hold this show in very high regard. I've only seen a few clips and a couple of episodes, but it's still up there as one of the top animated shows, at least for me. If I was, just for example, sitting in a hotel room, I'm sitting in the closet, the cuck closet, and I'm watching Kermit the Frog get down with Miss Piggy. Oh, come on, bitch, bring that bacon over here, doing that stuff. And all of a sudden I get bored because I'm like, these are Muppets. What am I doing with my life? I look over to the TV, I got a remote in my hand, and I have a couple of choices to make. There's South Park, there's The Simpsons, there's Family Guy, and there's The Boondocks. Out of 10 out of 10 times, I would probably pick The Boondocks because, yes, I haven't seen a lot of the episodes, but even the episodes that I have seen, they're so unique and different from any other adult animated show. The concepts, the intelligence with the jokes, it all feels very different from what you normally see, and that usually makes it very goddamn entertaining. So today, I'm going to be taking a look at a couple of episodes of The Boondocks, some of the best, some of the worst, and seeing, does this show still hold up today? Does it deserve to be labeled as a cult classic, or was it just overrated slop? That's the question I'm going to be trying to answer today. If you like this kind of content, please make sure you like and subscribe because I upload every single day. You don't want to miss it. If the content here on YouTube just isn't enough, there's bonus content in the Patreon, and if you want to discuss things like this with like-minded people, my Discord will also be in the description. Now let's finally take a look at The Boondocks. Taking a look at one of the best episodes in the series, we have a date with Booty Warrior, and this is genuinely the Avengers Endgame of this show, or just in general. If I walked into a movie theater and this was playing instead of Avengers Endgame at the hype of the popularity, I would not be complaining. We got an amazing cold opening, we got some great jokes, a unique concept, a final fucking battle, the exposition is crazy, it's everything you could possibly need to make you feel happy, to make you feel good, to make you cream. It's all you can really ask for. This episode has one of the greatest openings that I've ever seen in any show. And it might rub some people the wrong way if this was made today. Maybe people would be like, no, that's too offensive. But I think it's hilarious and I don't care. The episode, A Day with Booty Warrior, opens with one of the most illustrious characters that I've ever seen in any fiction, the Booty Warrior, who is actually a genuine real person. Look it up.
We won't let him have a woman. They gonna have each of somebody's gonna have to give us some booty.
The Booty Warrior is a real man who was in love with booty. And can you blame him? Can you blame him? I cannot. So we open with NBC Dateline or whatever, To Catch a Predator. And Chris Hansen is there, and I can just imagine, if this was a real-life scenario, Chris Hansen just preparing all his stuff, he just has papers and papers miles long about, what the Booty Warrior plans to do with this child. He's thinking, this is a predator, this is a man that I gotta get out of the street. And the Booty Warrior, he walks in, and Chris Hansen, he confronts him, because he's expecting this guy to want a little child's butt, which is inherently very weird, and so, he's like, I heard that you're coming here for some children. And he's like, no, I came looking for booty. I didn't come looking for no little boys, but I came looking for man butt.
I ain't got no milk, no cookies, nothing. I came looking for man's butt.
A man's butt? Excuse me?
Oh,
and that's when he should have started sweating a little bit, starting to get a little bit freaky because, why would he say something like that? Chris, you gotta start thinking about self-preservation here, especially with what keeps going on in this scenario, where Chris Hansen is reading what he was saying to the child, and he's like, no. I've heard about you, Chris. They call you Chris Hansen. I'm gonna start calling you Chris Handsome. Listen, I like you, and I want you. Now, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. The choice is yours. And this is where Chris Hansen should have been staring at it staring at him like a deer in headlights, because this is the Booty Warrior in front of you, okay? The man who knows all about another man's rectum, okay? This is when you should turn around and run, but Chris Hansen dares to challenge the lion. The lioness even. He's not a woman, but the lioness is doing all the hunting, and that's what the Booty Warrior is about to do in this situation. He takes one look at him up and down. Chris Hansen says, I'm not going to be doing anything with you, and then he gets unbelievably violated, saying, gonna ruin that butt, as he plants Chris Hansen on the counter and starts to use him up.
Kind of way.
okay, I see you choosing the hard way.
Okay, cut. This isn't working. Someone get this guy out.
Don't make me ruin that butt, Chris. No, please.
This is probably my favorite part of this entire show, out of everything I've seen from the show, there's just something so funny about the Booty Warrior. Especially because he's a real person. He didn't sexually assault Chris Hansen IRL, but this is a real guy. If you go on YouTube and look up the Booty Warrior, this is an actual man in prison who is like, there's nothing more important than a man's butt. There's nothing I need more than a man's buttocks. You know, it's just so unbelievably wild, but it's inherently awesome. I hope he hasn't done horrible, atrocious things to people, but it's still funny that such a kooky character can exist, and I'm all for that. So, that happens, and then we get introduced to Tom in the story, and Tom, he is very scared of somebody, you know, here's his asshole getting deep in there, and specifically prison, which is a fear that I could kind of relate to. Ever since I was a young boy, I would listen to, you know, those scary stories, you know, and one time when I was probably like, I don't know, 7, I was on YouTube and I was listening to disturbing 911 calls, and in one of those, a woman was out in the woods and a escaped convict braked out of prison and used her up, violated her, and it's a very tragic and sad story. Okay? It's awful. But ever since then, I've been convinced that if I lived out in the woods, someone would come and find me and want my ass. You know, it's a very odd, like, fear to have, but I'm sure it would happen. So I don't think I'll ever live in the middle of nowhere. It's just my problem. And Tom here, he's got the same problem. He is scared that if he goes to prison, a man is going to try to use up his ass in ways that he never thought possible. So he just keeps having this horrible dream, and it's always so weird. Like, it's just the way they, like, say it to him, it is all his nightmares, like, you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it, oh, Tom! And then he even has to go to, like, an AA meeting, but for people who are scared of getting their booty touched, which is a very odd concept, to say the least. So they're there, and they have just such an incredible mantra. My booty belongs to me. You cannot take my glorious booty.
My booty is mine. It belongs to me. You cannot take my booty.
God, I would love to join that group, you know? Like, just to be a part of something real. A bunch of dudes all sitting in a circle who are very scared of having their just rectum stretched up in ways that they can't even fathom, that they have to come up with a mantra that is, my booty belongs to me, you cannot have my glorious booty. And Tom is just very scared about all of this, so he even runs away. He doesn't want to deal with it. So we then cut to our plot line that is dealing with Riley and Huey, the kids of the story, and they apparently got into a fight at school, and I just love this entire sequence where they're talking to the principal. They apparently also beat up the principal, and the principal is either talking about expulsion or a scared straight program, and the kids immediately like, oh, big jail! Yep, so that sets up the fact that they're going to be going to jail, and so far, this is only like 4 minutes into the episode, and I've been talking for 6 fucking minutes, because it's just that good. There's so much stuff going on. That cold opening was brilliant with the Booty Warrior. That sets him up as a character very well. Everything with Tom was also very funny. I didn't even mention the fact that they had like a 1-minute exposition saying that Tom just loves gay people. He could even watch the gay movies and he'll be all for it, just watching them kiss. But the second it involves his butt, he is terrified. Did they need to include that? No. Does it make it all more funny? Yes. It's just incredible. Everything that they do within the first 5 minutes helps to just set up everything so well. So Tom, he is no longer afraid of getting his booty touched. He's going to take the kids to jail to get over his fear and prove that he is not scared of what a grown man could potentially do to his butt. It's bold, it's a odd move to go for, but hey, I'm all for getting over your fears, Tom. Do what you gotta do for you. So he agrees to take Riley and Huey to prison to show them up, to show all of that nonsense, saying, my ass will be fine. Yes! Good for him. So, he eventually gets with all the kids, and he even takes Riley's shiv that he makes because he's terrified. Uncle Ruckus shows up and says a lot of horrible things to the African-American children, as Uncle Ruckus does. You know, Uncle Ruckus just doing the best that he possibly can. He doesn't like them very much, even though he's, you know, it's whatever. Oh well. So, They get into the prison, and that's where things get really crazy, to say the least. So they're just walking through the prison, and just you hear one of the prisoners just sitting in the cell like, I'm gonna finger you! I'm gonna finger your asshole! Like, why are you doing that? Like, there's kids walking through. Like, what if a kid thinks you're saying that? I mean, either way, I guess you're trying to scare them straight, right? So that just makes it okay. But still, like, dear Lord, like, have a little self-control there. So they sit all the children down and they start talking about, you know, the analogies of prison and what goes on there and how it's just made to be oppressive to a lot of people. And fucking, I don't know if I've seen enough clips. I don't know if Huey's always like this, but he starts talking to Huey about prison, and Huey just gives like the most logical explanation that you could ever give a prison, just explaining like the government definition of what prison is supposed to be.
Think about that!
The prison industrial complex is a system situated at the intersection of government and private interests. It uses prisons as a solution to social, political,
And I love that scene so much because, you know, he gets talked like this and he's like, did you just say what I think you just said, but smarter? Well, you left out one goddamn thing. One thing about prison other than the oppression. Who here has had their booty touched by another man? And who here has touched another man's booty? And that is when they realize that everybody in this entire prison has had to get some butt. They've needed the butt-ussy. They've needed it really, really bad. It is the only way that they could survive. So they all start telling the kids about what it's like, and they all start looking at Tom and just telling him to take his clothes off and that, like, looking at him, and he's like, you, over there. Whoo-wee! You got a nice mug on you. That's the type of mug that makes a man have a wet dream.
Tom is the type of nigga that gives us wet dreams up in here. Medium brown, soft features, tall and in shape, but...
And Tom's just sitting there getting progressively more and more scared, and it's so funny to see all of his reactions to this nonsense. He takes off the majority of his clothes, and God, it's just so stupid. It's so stupid. And then that is when the booty warrior shows up to talk to the children, and he takes one look at Tom and he's like, there's nothing more important than a man's butt. Now listen, I'll show you what I do, Tom. I like you and I want you. Now we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. The choice is yours.
Tell him like this here. I like you, and I want you. Now we can do this the easy way, or we can do it the hard way.
And he starts like ripping Tom, wanting to use him up, and Tom does the "you cannot touch my booty," blasting him back and running away, which causes a big prison riot. There is crazy stuff happening within this prison, and this is where the episode kind of gets a little bit low. I mean, there's still a lot of really good stuff going on. I mean, the joke is funny nonetheless. I shouldn't say low, that's the wrong word to describe it. Riley and Huey, they're stuck with all the prisoners, while the booty warrior is looking for Tom as Tom is running around all scared and whatnot. And Riley and Huey, they're asking the prisoners what they want. This is an opportunity, because it's a prison riot, to get something that you could possibly want. And they just decide for like 5 minutes to keep saying, well, I mean, you know, we got the children, we got white children, we got the power, we can get white bitches. We need lots of white bitches. And I was like, okay. You know, that's reasonable. That is a reasonable amount of demands. And they eventually just start saying that they want every ethnic woman that you could ever imagine. And that's the entire joke for like the final 5 minutes with that storyline. At the same time, Tom gets brave enough. He goes and gets all the white kids, but he forgets Riley and Huey. So he's got to go back for them. And well, they didn't really care, because if they just had Riley and Huey, they didn't have the white children anymore, which was all their leverage, which is so fucked up, but it's so funny. So Riley and Huey, they get saved by Tom, and Tom is running now, and you just hear, I want the booty, as the booty warrior's hunting him down, and Tom ends up in the showers, and this is where we get the final fucking battle. There is nothing more cinematic than this, where there's steam coming down, you have the booty warrior showing up saying, oh, I see you choosing the hard way, as he walks in throwing soap at Tom, and just that entire thought process of just being in a shower while a convict is throwing soap at you saying don't drop it is a horrifying concept. He's throwing it, he's about to use Tom up, they're battling, and then the booty warrior slips on the soap, and Tom defeats the booty warrior, saving his booty, not letting it get touched by another man.
You can't have it!
And all I could really say to the end of that episode is, dear Lord, wow. I can't even fathom how unbelievably beautiful, how unbelievably hilarious this entire concept is. That cold open, I can't even imagine picturing that, because you know for a fact that just one singular person had seen that YouTube video with the booty warrior and just had to be sitting there like, guys, what if this guy sexually assaulted Chris Hansen. And then the entire room just like started slapping their knees in pure enjoyment, because that is some funny shit. That is actually hilarious, and everything they decided to do with this concept was unbelievable. The entire thing with Tom, again, it's just 30 dudes just shooting the shit in a board meeting. Like, what if Tom was like thoroughly okay with gay people, but unbelievably terrified of having somebody inside of his butt? Like, it's so funny. And the final fight with Booty Warrior is hilarious. Everything with Riley and Huey just wanting to go to jail, fully understanding it, and like honestly helping the prisoners with their demands is still unbelievably hilarious. There is just so much to love about this episode. I genuinely think all 22 minutes is just perfect from beginning to end. There's some moments that are a little bit slower, there's some jokes that go on a little bit long, but it's just combined with both of the plots going on that nothing really ever feels dull by the time you're like dealing with the Booty Warrior nonsense, and it cuts back to just the prisoners being like, we want white bitches, Brazilian bitches. Like, it's still funny. It's just a good combination of everything, and it's honestly one of my favorite adult animated episodes that I've ever seen. If I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I would easily give this episode a 10 out of 10, no doubt. One of the funniest episodes I've ever seen. Taking a look at one of the worst episodes in the series so that I could see some of the best and some of the worst that the series has to offer, we have the episode Granddad Dates a Kardashian. And this one is, yeah, it's definitely a sharp quality decline compared to a date with a Booty Warrior, but it's still pretty decent. The main reason that I could definitely highlight that this episode sucks in a way is because, you know, a character that is like a Kardashian is just inherently annoying, unless you're 46 and you just sit there and drink fucking, I don't know, mimosas all day, and you're like, they're talking about their breast enlargement surgery. You know, like, that's the only way I could really see anybody enjoying keeping up with the Kardashians, and this is a parody of that. And even though it's a good parody, you still have to watch a character that is just like a Kardashian, just parade around and be all their shenanigan Kardashian self, so it's inherently a little bit annoying. The beginning of it is pretty funny, where we just get to meet Kardashian, and she's like, oh, hey guys, how are we doing? I'm dating this brand new chocolate man who is, you know, he's so nice to me. Like, he's got balls that go all the way down to my ankle caps, girl. Like, oh my god.
But instead of long money, he's got long balls. I'm talking like back of my kneecaps.
You know, because she just wants to fondle those jiggling things hanging down from a man's scrotum. So yeah, that was a pretty funny opening, and we get to see why Granddad is so inherently in love with this woman. One reason is money, and one is a booty the size of a pterodactyl. It is just giant, plump, and he is all about that. Riley and Huey aren't really about this until the assistant shows up, and she hands Riley a bunch of different toys and games and books and laptops and all that nonsense, and Huey, he wants nothing to do with this. He's feeling a little bit inquisitive, and he does that for pretty much the entire episode. He's the only one that like notices anything that's like inherently going wrong when this is happening. So Kardashian is having one big conversation about her life and what she does, and she's like, oh guys, oh my god, like I really need to give a big speech right now, because like I need to go to the hospital and like be there for the people who are dying, so that like you know, when like people online are trolling me in their mom's basement, they can complain that my ass isn't fat enough, but in reality it's so big, you know, which is just a lot of the stuff she says. If you were like curling your toes at that, getting aroused when I was saying that, then you probably enjoy that character. If you wanted to punch the screen or break it with a bat, just like start screaming, begging for it to stop, then you don't like that character. But that was the best interpretation I could have ever given you. So she goes off to do that, and then Benj Kardashian shows up, which is a brother Kardashian for some odd enough reason, and he apparently was on Dancing with the Stars, so he starts getting jiggy with Granddad, just hitting a nice old waltz, a dance, just hitting it up. And I don't know, this episode is genuinely just kind of all over the place. It has some good progression, and then some of the times there's just scenes like this where a man and a man are just getting down, getting jiggy, and that's all you could really ask for. He starts ranting about how it sucks to be a male Kardashian because you have to go on dates with autistic teen moms, which I don't understand that. What do you mean you have to go on a date with an autistic teen mom, and why is that so specific? That's so odd. So that already implies that they're a teen, not specifying what kind of teen that you're going out on a date with, and they're autistic. So it's just like a double whammy of kind of being weird that you're being forced to do that, but whatever, do you. So, then they're all in the house and Kardashian returns, and her ass is literally now the size of Lizzo pre-Ozempic. It's just giant, it's everywhere, it's hanging out, it's flopping on the table, knocking over the pictures.
Perfectly fine with that.
Look at our living room. Why is everyone acting blind?
Nobody truly knows what to do in this situation because that dumpy is truly dumping all over the place. It's knocking everything down, and Huey, he doesn't understand this. He's like, everybody's acting blind to these giant double-cheeked up cheeks. What are we gonna do here? Like, it's because it's just causing chaos, and she goes to sit down on the couch, and she lifts the couch up, and that is when Huey just does the most dastardly thing you could ever say to a Kardashian. I think your ass is fake. And Kardashian starts crying and just non-stop letting it all out because her entire reality has been shattered. How could her cheeks, the size of the Empire State Building, possibly be not real? Oh, God. Oh, man. If a real Kardashian, if you said that to one of them, they would probably, suck you inside. I'm not joking. They would, jump all the way up. And if you've seen that South Park episode where Mr. Slave sucks up, I forget, Paris Hilton, all the way up into her ass or his ass, that's probably what a Kardashian would do to you IRL if you walked up to them and said they had any plastic on their body. Even if you look at their pictures from 40 years ago before they did anything and they looked like normal average people, if you said that to them, that they didn't naturally grow their ass double the size, like a Grinch growing his heart 3 times the size on Christmas Day, they would probably suck you into their rectum, so just be ready for that. But either way, she's crying, she's sad, so Huey and Riley get kicked out of the house, and Huey starts going on a little bit of investigation. He follows where Kardashian goes, and Kardashian ends up at this, off-brand doctor's office, and she is apparently getting Jell-O shots and petroleum stuffed inside of her ass. So it's not even a real surgery. I can't imagine walking in and just being okay, I got about 6 Jell-O shots today. Let's shove them in there, huh? Let's get that thing jiggling and getting wiggly. Okay, cool. So it gets even bigger. And that is when she is out at dinner with Granddad. It's a nice emotional dinner. They're talking about the promising future that they have together with promise rings and whatnot, how they could possibly be together for a long period of time. And that is until tragedy strikes, when she is just sitting there ew, you could give me a promise ring.
Whoa! What's the attitude for? What the hell?
It's like she's being struck down by God himself for saying such an awful thing, and that is when the most sad thing in any form of fiction possibly takes place, where her ass literally implodes, explodes, leaks out all the juice in just one fiery moment. It is all gone. Dear Lord, we've lost such a booty today. What are we gonna do? So she ends up in the hospital. She's barely surviving. And so Granddad and Bench Kardashian, they go on a journey to find the doctor who messed all this up, and they end up inflating his head and beating him to death and all that nonsense. While Riley and Huey, they end up meeting a really old woman who, her introduction sentence was a little bit off-putting to me. I don't know why you would ever say that to a child.
Come in, young skinny black child.
But, oh well. It's just a very interesting way to address them, and they end up having this conversation about her life and how she's sad and how she has no one and she's poor and nobody wants to visit her. So that was kind of whatever, and then they find out that Kardashian doesn't have the same blood type as all the other Kardashians, so they all abandon her and leave her for dead, and Granddad kisses her on the hand, takes the rest of her jewelry, and leaves happy as a duck. He got what he needed. No booty, no money. What is the point? So Granddad was a thug through and through. He got his bag, that's for sure. Kardashian dies, and that's pretty much the entire episode. So Yeah, this one was definitely a little bit weird. I found the Kardashian characters to be very annoying, but it's mainly Granddad's reactions and Riley and Huey that save the majority of the episode. They actually make it worth watching. They make it more enjoyable. And then I don't know, there were some scenes that were just ultimately pointless, like Bench being in the episode was just kind of whatever. The old lady at the end was just kind of whatever. It just kind of like felt unnecessary, but I wouldn't even remotely call this a bad episode. Like if this was on, I could still watch this beginning and end. Would I ever want to watch it again? Probably not specifically this episode, but if I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I would give it a solid, 6 out of 10. So for one of the worst episodes in the series, it's really not that bad. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on one of the best episodes and one of the worst episodes of the Boondocks. I like this show a lot, and if the worst episode was truly one of the worst in the series, then it's only really ups from there. I only can see it getting better because that episode really wasn't that bad. There's a lot to enjoy. There's a lot to like. So 500 likes, and I will make another Boondocks video on episodes of your choice, episodes that you want me to take a look at, because there are a lot of episodes that I haven't seen, a lot to enjoy, and just overall, it's a very good series. I know this video is a little bit shorter, but I try to give everybody some daily videos, just like 25 to 30 minutes of just your day. I could be your lunch video, a video for you to go to sleep, just always daily content that is quality and something for you to laugh at and enjoy. So if it's sometimes a little short, it's just because I have other stuff going on in my actual real life, separate from this internet world, so I have to go and do some stuff. But I appreciate every single one of you, those of you who watch every single video. You got a special place right here, right in my fucking heart. Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Lots of daily content coming on the way. I got a BoJack Horseman video coming, Human Resources, Kevin Spencer, The Legend of Korra, all these different videos coming every single day. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.